Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from YourBlackWorld.com, and I am on the road. I am in Tupelo, Mississippi, and I'm literally, if you know anything about anything that we do at Your Black World, you know that I love to stop at McDonald's restaurants where they have free Wi-Fi and pop open my laptop and talk about the issues of the day. So this is truly grassroots. This is straight up Chitlin circuit, but this is how things get done. And to kind of talk some things out, I brought in Yvette Carnell. You know Yvette. She's my editor-in-chief at Your Black World and my partner in crime and an outstanding political pundit. And first I want to begin by asking Yvette, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing very well. I'm actually on the road this week, just having some fun, just doing a little bit of nothing, and working in between. But I love what I work, so I love what I do. So working is always fun too. Now, Yvette, I gave you a call a little while ago because I wanted to talk about this situation with Roland Martin. In case people don't know, there have been some developments. You know that Roland Martin was suspended by CNN for making comments that were alleged to be homophobic. And then after that, CNN issued the suspension because the Gay Lesbian Alliance got upset, GLAAD. And then after that, Tom Joyner stepped in and issued or wrote an open letter to Roland where he said that he thinks that Roland should go ahead and just apologize. And that's what I said, too. I think that Roland needs to just make it right. And I think that if he had tried to make it right in the beginning, everything would have washed away. And now the NAACP has gotten involved. The NAACP, their chairman, Rosalind Brock, has come out with a statement that is somewhat neutral enough to keep them out of trouble with GLAAD, but it's pretty clear that they seem to support Roland. They said that they think that Roland is a valued voice for CNN, that he presents diversity on the airwaves, and they'd like to see the situation resolved. So I'm curious, Yvette, what are you making out of all this as you see these things sort of go down?
Well, first of all, let me just, and I don't do this normally, but let me just toot our own horns, because I'm looking at all these organizations that are coming out now. You know, Tom Joyner was late last week. You know, you have NAACP and all these other people. I think we commented on this the day after it happened. So I think it's best to really deal with these things in real times and not have that sort of lag. But having said that, I just want to say that this should have been over. This should have been over. The first thing that Roland Martin should have done was contact GLAAD and had the necessary meeting that was going to have to happen. It's going to have to happen anyway. There's no way to get around that if he wants to continue working at CNN or any other national platform. He's going to have that conversation. He's going to have to cut the PR ad, you know, for gays and violence against gays and lesbians, and just demonstrate to the world that he's not a homophobe. And, you know, take some time out of the spotlight. And for whatever reason, Roland just has refused to do that. These are things that anybody who watches national media, who pay any attention to the national stage, you already know what's going to happen. You already know what has to happen in order for this to go his way. So I just don't understand why he's fighting this. I don't even understand why he didn't take a vacation from Twitter. He's still been on Twitter. Take a vacation. Take some time away. Take some time away from the spotlight. Apologize. Meet with the people. And then do what you have to do to show people that you are not a person who espouses hate. It's really not complicated how this PR thing has to happen. So I don't know what kind of game he's playing right now. I don't know what he thinks there is to gain by continuing to kind of fight this fight and not put forth a full-throated apology. Not an apology that says, well, I hate that you construed it that way, but an apology that says, you know what I said offended some people, it was over the top, and I just shouldn't have said it. I shouldn't have said it. Just say that.
Yeah, you know, I agree with you. I think that it's almost like if you have a relationship and you get in a fight with your partner over a simple misunderstanding that could have been resolved if you would just apologize right away. What happens if you let that thing linger for days and days and days? It festers to the point where you could say the exact same thing 3 or 4 days later, and the person may not be able to forgive you because that pain is so deep from what they've experienced. And I think that this is true in this case. I think that Roland really should have come out and really apologized from the very beginning. And one of the things that I think is very interesting in our community that we've really got to process is that people need to get over this argument. You know, all these Republicans that are coming out and defending Roland because they don't really, support any kind of rights for the gay community for the most part. They keep acting like Roland got suspended because of one tweet, that Roland made one ambiguous tweet about a Dave Beckham commercial and he got suspended. That is not the case. If you want to be fair, you got to start with the facts. Roland did not just get suspended for one tweet. Glad had a body of evidence that pointed to strong suspicions that Roland not necessarily advocated violence against the gay community, but that he was okay, that he didn't think it was that big of a deal. When you defend Tracy Morgan saying that I would stab my son if he was gay, that's not funny because gay people are being stabbed for being gay. So don't defend and act like, oh, well, it's no big deal. You know, comedians say all kinds of stuff. No. You can be against the gay lifestyle. You can be, you can even say that it repulses you. That doesn't even bother me, to be honest with you, because I think that a lot of heterosexual men feel that way. They think about homosexual sex and say, oh gosh, that's so, I can't even think about it. That's okay to me. Maybe for some people it's not, but I understand that. But when you get to the point where you are making light of hurting people because they're gay, that's not funny. You go back to what Roland's wife has said about homosexuals in the past. She said some things that are not cool, and Roland has stood behind her as she said these things about conversion therapy and that being gay is like being a kleptomaniac. He compared it to that. No, I mean, come on, man, give me a break. And then you keep going down the list, and you see all this evidence pile up that says that at least the brother needs to apologize. And this, I'm gonna say this, Yvette, then I'm gonna let you talk. What bothers me, too, is that Roland has been so aggressive in terms of not even saying, when Glad peeps at you and they say, look, we got this evidence, we've been following you for a while because this isn't the first time we felt this way about you, and we're presenting it to you. Not only did Roland not apologize, Roland went back at them like, I was just talking about soccer players, and I just don't like soccer players, and if you can't see that, then something's wrong with you. I'm sorry, Roland. That just doesn't fly, and I think that brother needs to accept that. Go ahead, Yvette. I didn't mean to jump in like that.
Oh, no, not at all. But I just want to chime in and say there are a lot of homosexuals that aren't too fired up about heterosexual sex, and that's why they're homosexuals. That's kind of how sexuality works. You're just into what you're into. And I quite frankly don't believe what you're into is anyone's business. And I think that the problem that Roland has is this. The problem that Roland has is that he gets into things that he shouldn't get into. What you feel about the Beckham ad and how you feel about the Beckham ad is your own business. If you want to discuss that with your wife and friends, that's fine. But you are a brand. You are a CNN brand, and everything you do outside of CNN's doors is still a reflection of that brand. So all the little, like I said before, all the little your mama jokes and barbecue jokes and things that may pass at the backyard barbecue, things that you may say that may get a snicker and a nod that other black people won't hold you accountable for because we still have some homophobia in our community, all of that, you can't put that on Twitter. That's not who you are anymore. Now, if you want to do that, if you want to be that person and be able to say whatever you want to say, then you have to get your own platform. And then you're free to do whatever you want to do. You can say whatever you want to say. And if people want to continue to go to your platform and visit you, that's fine. If they don't, that's fine as well. But you cannot represent CNN. And CNN has every right to say, hey, we don't advocate that sort of thing, and we're going to suspend you if you advocate that sort of thing. You can't get your panties all in a wad because CNN has done what CNN is going to do. CNN is going to protect their brand, and you're part of that brand. And if you can't understand that, you're going to deal with more than a suspension. A suspension is the least of your worries if you can't get on Team CNN. That's what you're doing now. That's who you are.
And I agree with you 100%. I remember back, in 07, long before Obama mania, a lot of people, a lot of commentators really strengthened and built their careers off of the Obama presidency when he ran for president and going on the networks regularly. Roland was one of those people. But before that happened, Roland, myself, and Mark Lamar Hill used to all go on all the networks all the time. I used to get calls from CNN and Fox every day, one or the other. I would do each one about 2 to 3 times a week. And I remember I got into a big fight with with Bill O'Reilly. And that was when I banned myself from ever going on Fox again. I haven't been on Fox News since that time. What was interesting, though, was, my relationship with CNN was one where I had to really decide, okay, what if they call me and offer me a job as an analyst, and because that's what they say. Once they date you, it's like dating. Once they date you so many times and the dates go well, they eventually, make a proposal. And I had been on there a bunch of times, so I knew that the day was going to come where they might offer me something. And I told Mark, I said, I really don't think I want a deal from one of these networks, because when you get on there as a black man, there are going to be times where you have something to say that they're not going to like. And if they decide to attack you and smear you and screw you, you're done. You're done. So I put all my energy, made all my investment in developing my own independent platform, because I felt that black people needed something that was authentic, something that wasn't going to be constantly scrutinized by an overseer of some type. And what's interesting, though, is since that time, Mark Lamont Hill, he's my homeboy. He took a deal with Fox. What happened? They smeared him over some BS, and he ended up getting fired. With Roland, you see what's happening now. I wouldn't say Roland's being smeared, though, but if you look at the fact that he is a black Christian conservative type of man who happens to be in a liberal space, but yet he's Southern Baptist, and they just don't have a lot of comfort with the gay lifestyle. And there are black people who understand that, how you can be liberal and democratic and all that, but yet you still might have some issues with homosexuality that might not fly on CNN, which is a network where you've got quite a few personalities that are openly gay. So, at the end of the day, I think that their reaction to Roland probably is, stronger than what you're going to see in the black community. But at the same time, I think in the black community, we have to understand that this is not a matter of GLAAD getting mad at you because you don't accept their lifestyle. That's not what they're saying. They're saying, look, you ain't got to accept our lifestyle, but you can't go around making light of the fact that people are dying for being gay. So to get to your point about having an independent platform, I think that if you want to be that Democrat liberal who happens to have issues with homosexuality and wants to make jokes about people getting stabbed because they're gay, or thinks it's okay to beat the ish out of somebody for being gay, as Roland said on his tweets, then that's fine. You can do that, but you got to do that from your own platform. You need to stick with that TV One platform where black people will get it. White folks are seeing it and are not going to get that kind of stuff.
Well, it does to me, and I said this earlier, I said, just based on the tweets by themselves, I can't say that I wouldn't say that they were necessarily homophobic, just based on the tweets, not the other body of evidence that GLAAD came out with later. But what I said was this: to me, this isn't necessarily an issue of homophobia as much as it is an issue of professionalism, as much as it is understanding who you are, where you are, and what that demands of your behavior. You do not have a platform of your own. Everywhere you go, you represent CNN. And CNN has made it clear that they're not going to tolerate that sort of thing. CNN has made it clear that homophobia is not what they do. Now, you can take that to Fox, you can take that wherever, but if it's construed that way, even if, like Roland says, it's just construed that way, that's not how I meant it, that's what it is. So you have to understand that's not where you are. That's not what you represent. And I don't understand where that misunderstanding comes. I also saw something later that his wife has taken down her Twitter account because she made some statements, defending him after the fact. And if that's true, then I have another set of problems. My other set of problems is, do we have a set of black people on the national stage who are not ready for prime time? That's another issue in and of itself. If you have a husband or wife who's on the national stage, who's in hot water with their network, you want to go dark. You don't want to say anything about it. You're not addressing the issue. And how you can be out there out front and do that in such a way and not understand how that impacts the national stage really kind of leads me to believe that you don't have any PR savvy, that you don't understand what this means and you don't understand what's at stake here.
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, to update folks, Roland's wife, her name is Jackie Hood Martin, and it's interesting that her middle name would be Hood because what she was saying was straight out of the hood. She was talking about, she was talking to Sophia Nelson, a black Republican actually, and saying that, they stand on. She tweeted to Sophia and to CNN and to GLAAD that, they want to use us to get their civil rights and then take out the point man. So I guess she sees her husband as being the point man for civil rights, which is kind of interesting, right? Because it almost reminds me of when Whitney used to say that Bobby was the king of R&B. But
everybody just like
right. They're like, oh, he is. Oh, okay. But no. But in all seriousness, though, she said they want to take out the point man. Then she said, don't ask us for nothing else. And then she said, some other things that, and I don't remember the exact words of the second tweet. The second tweet was actually quite in your face. And so the point is that, I didn't think she should be tweeting at all. And you're right. The whole family should have gone dark if they wanted him to keep his job. Now, if they want to make a point, make a statement, make a stand, then go for it. Just understand you're making a stand as a suicide bomber. You kamikaze with it. You gonna go down bloody and burning. But maybe there's a bigger cause here, because there are a lot of people that are rallying around Roland, and because they have somehow construed this scenario in a way that doesn't make sense to me.
And they're rallying around Roland. I understand why. That's what we tend to do in terms of the African American community. We rally around our people, especially when we feel they're being unfairly treated. And I have taken issue myself with gay rights being necessarily equated with civil rights and with and things, and people drawing an equivalency there. So I understand that, and I do think that has happened. But this is not the place to have that fight. I'm not a big fan of my pain is bigger than your pain, where feminists are like, well, we suffered, and then gay people are like, look at us, and then black people are like, well, we were, it was us first. I'm not having that kind of discussion, and those are kind of discussions that I won't have anymore, because it's not about this. It's about understanding the individual struggle, that collective struggle of each demographic. So I do understand that angst in the black community, but this isn't the place to have that fight. He was on a platform and he said some things that didn't speak well of that his brand didn't like, and when you're paid, when your paycheck says Turner, you have to do certain things. You have to behave in certain ways. The same way if your paycheck says New York Times or the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, there are certain expectations. And for you to appear right now as if you don't understand what those expectations are and what that entails is a problem. And if it conflicts with your religion, then I think you should probably find another home.
Well, I agree with you, and I think that either you find another home or you leave the religion issue off the table, right? And just so people will know, the second tweet that I couldn't remember from Roland's wife, which I thought was probably even more damning for her, is when she tweeted to Glad and CNN. I think Sophia said something like, they're just trying to protect their brand. And I think that Jackie said, protect their brand. What brand? Then she said something like, if what Roland says can hurt their business, then they have no business being in business. And I said, whoa. So you just insulted not just Glad, but you also insulted your husband's employer. That ain't gonna fly, and I'm sure, but that's, that's the issue. That's between him and his wife, whatever. But one last thing I want to hit on is, the NAACP has jumped in. Rosalind Brock has made some comments about, Rosalind Brock's the chairman of the NAACP. She has made some comments about the situation, and basically the comments were somewhat benign in terms of saying, or neutral. It was slightly in Roland's favor, basically saying that Roland is an asset for CNN, and that he brings much needed diversity to cable news, and that they hope the situation is resolved in a timely manner. I think that they're stepping in on any level. It's interesting because it's almost like when the United States steps in on a regional conflict that China is involved in. You risk having a blow-up between the black community, between the NAACP and GLAAD, between the gay, who represents the gay community. I don't think it should be construed that way. I think that what's really going on, honestly, is that they are supporting Roland in part because Roland knows all these people. I think that Roland's playing politics, and again, Roland, I know him, as a colleague, etc. But I think that that their relationship with Roland is causing them to get away from making him accountable for what he said. And what was also interesting, Yvette, and I want to get your take on this too, is Tom Joyner wrote an open letter where basically he just did what any friend does. It's almost like when your friend gets a little drunk and you want to take the keys away from the car, take the keys away. You just kind of say, hey man, you don't need to be driving. And that's what I was doing, was basically saying, look, you just need to apologize, make it right. Tom was saying the same thing, just make it right, Roland. And so also T.D. Jakes, and I don't know if this was a swipe at Tom or not, but Roland retweeted something that T.D. Jakes said. And T.D. Jakes said on his Twitter, he said, never take something to a public forum if you have private access to that person. Now, Yvette, the reason I take that personally is because, I was kind of given that same sort of response. When I wrote the things that I wrote, they said, well, you should take this to Roland personally and talk to him about it personally. Well, the hard part that I had is that I have this nasty habit of trying my best to tell the truth. And I don't care if you're my mama. If you did something that was wrong, I got to tell the truth about it. And the fact is that if I had got on the phone with Roland and he had given me this stupid explanation about, oh, this was all about soccer players, I would have said, dude, I'm sorry, man, you are insulting my intelligence. So what is your take on this, and what do you think about sort of these other figures kind of getting involved on this?
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this in regards to the NAACP. First of all, I don't know what this perfunctory organization is really up to. Let me just address them first of all. We are in a situation right now where America is facing austerity, and black people are going to be disproportionately impacted by all the cuts to federal government, all the cuts to spending that are coming down the pike. So to have the NAACP chime in on what's going on with a CNN commentator just seems like a bit of an overshoot in my mind. I think they have bigger fish to fry, and if they want to remain relevant in the 21st century, I would suggest they get to frying. So that's my take on them. The second thing is in regards to what you said about Roland. I can understand that he would somewhat feel like people are piling on him, because I think he had an expectation that what was happening to Obama would happen to him. In terms of, if you're a person that black people feel is on top of their game, they tend to insulate you. They don't tend to, tug at you and say, hey, dude, you need to come back to the middle. You've gone too far. That's not what normally happens. So I think he had a different expectation. I think he was probably expecting a call or whatever. Like if I'm going to light you up, I'll probably call you and say, hey, Dr. Boyce, I'm about to light you up. Just so you know. We still cool, but this wasn't cool. So I think he had that expectation, but I think he should just say, I'm not going to take it personally. These people do not dislike me. These are people that I like. These are people that like me. But they have problems with what I said, and I shouldn't take it personally. It's not personal. I don't think Tom Joyner, I don't think any of you all have any animosity towards Roland Martin as a person. I think you all see this as something that should be addressed in terms of, the black community, homophobia. A lot of things are embedded within this conversation that you as commentators, as people who have a voice in the black community, have to address. You can't just leave this alone because you know the person. That's an abdication of your responsibility as people with a platform. So I think he has to understand where you're coming from and what responsibilities that you all have. You all have responsibility to your viewership and your readers as well. So I think it's time for him to just humble himself and appreciate that these people have responsibilities, and I have responsibilities as well. And right now, my responsibility is to apologize and make this right and mend these relationships.
Well, that was well said, and I think that's enough said. And I will end by just saying that, some things can be handled behind closed doors, but some things don't need to be. The Catholic Church tried to handle things behind closed doors, and you saw where that led them. And so the fact of the matter is that this issue of homophobia in our community needs to be addressed. Again, I think it's okay to disagree with the lifestyle. I think it's okay to have an issue with gay sex or even gay marriage. I think that's your right. I mean, I don't understand why people are so sensitive to it. I mean, personally, as long as you ain't trying to marry me, I don't care who anybody wants to marry. But at the same time, though, people have a right. But when you're talking about violence against the gay lesbian community, because of their sexual orientation, that's when we have to draw the line. And I'm not saying that Roland is in support of violence. I'm not saying he would go out and beat up a gay person. But I think that if you look at the pattern of evidence, not the one tweet, the pattern of evidence, it does say that there might be a tendency to overlook or to lighten the significance of an attack against a gay person, and that's not appropriate. We need to take that seriously. It is a hate crime, and it's not acceptable. If we wanted other people to respect our civil rights, we got to respect the rights of others, and it's as simple as that. So thank you very much, Yvette. I really appreciate your time.
No problem. No problem.
All right.
Just Roland. If you want us to stop talking about it, just go apologize to Glad, set up a meeting and make it right.
Exactly. I mean, that's how we do stuff. We're not much into cronyism here. Yvette's my crony, but I ain't got too many homies. I lose friends as fast as I make them. So it is what it is. You know, you got to tell the truth, and I accept, you know, the good and the bad that comes with that. So until we meet again, please stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. We are gone. Peace.